Today, I'm specifically talking about Jupiter retrograde, which is going to be from 14th of May to 12th of September. It will start its retrograde in Capricorn and end in Sagittarius. What can we expect? Hello, I'm Komilla Sutton, and as you can see, I'm doing this recording from my garden, and the beautiful roses are blooming. You can see the bougainvillea at the back. And mostly I'll do the recording inside because there's too much noise here. But just reminding you that we are talking about Jupiter retrograde from 14th of May, and reminding you also to subscribe, press the bell notification. Thank you. So let's talk about Jupiter retrograde. It is going to be from 14th of May to 12th of September. Depending on where you are, it could be 15th also May and to 13th of September. So depending on what part of the world you are. But I'm in California, so I was giving you the California dates. And the thing is that Jupiter retrograde, we don't necessarily feel it so much, but as it goes retrograde, the main aspect, as I've been talking, is that it's an event just now because three planets are going retrograde: Saturn, Venus, and then Jupiter, all within 4 days of each other. 10th for Saturn, 13th for Venus, and 14th May for Jupiter. So one of the things is that everybody's thinking contrary. They're not thinking seriously about themselves, what they should be doing. And this is most important time when the planets are so complicated. It's always important to be very sober about things and take care and take time about making decisions, and also know that you may not be thinking what is the best for you, because we've been stuck indoors. So we think if we go out, everything will be fine, but do it carefully. And as I explained in the Venus video as well, that you feel it exactly at the time of retrograde. You don't feel anything once the planet goes into its speed and is retrograding. It will retrograde back from Capricorn to Sagittarius. So this is also known in the retrogrades as Ati Vakri. I talked about this. I'll put a link to my retrograde classes. You can listen to them. And so the Ati Vakri means when a planet goes from one sign to the other during retrograde. So this retrograde starts in Capricorn and then moves into Sagittarius. And the classics don't regard that as a very positive indication, because you have gone ahead and then moved back. But what I've noticed is that Jupiter tends to do this very often. Even last year's retrograde, Jupiter came into Sagittarius, retrograded back. Now it's come into Capricorn, retrograding back. And next year as well, 2021, it's going to go into Aquarius, come back to Capricorn. So therefore, we should pay attention to it, but don't put too much of a negative energy to it. Of course, with these difficult times, and I personally don't like to see the worst in everything, but we have to recognize that they can be reversal of situations. They can be things that can go out of control as well. So to be conscious of that. So this Ati Vakri of Jupiter that is going to take place, that means Jupiter will retrograde in Capricorn, and then it will move out of Capricorn on 26th of June and goes into Sagittarius, where it will retrograde till 12th of September. And then around 12th of September, again, you need to watch out, because the planet will slowly start going direct and move into Sagittarius and go direct in Sagittarius. Now, I personally feel that Jupiter in Sagittarius has a lot of positive aspects to it, but we haven't seen that so far because of the energy that when Jupiter goes into Sagittarius, it's from tamas to sattva, and it breaks the old habits, old aspects. But once Jupiter moves into Sagittarius and goes direct, then you will see that the optimism and positive energy will return. But for now, we have to be conscious of the retrograde and be aware that it is taking place, and that things are less than perfect. Another thing that I have realized is that sometimes the energy of the planets don't give us immediate results. So when last year I was talking about all the difficult energies, we were not seeing that much difficulty, but they were piling up, and all of them came to us in 2020. Whereas this year there's many positive energies, and that means that the planets are piling up positive stuff which we will experience. So from 26th of June, Jupiter is no longer in debilitation and will move out into Sagittarius. However, this particular retrograde of Jupiter is in Capricorn with Saturn. So there's a cancellation of debilitation. Also, Jupiter does largely this transit as Vargotama. It is in the same sign in the Rashi and in the Navamsha. So that means what is outside is inside. But as it goes retrograde, sometimes we will think we don't want to listen to advice of the gurus or the advisors. We should do whatever we feel like, because Jupiter is the main guru and he's the serious advisor. So be careful, people ignoring what is being advised is not always a good idea, because the advisors are only making your life easier. What is the role of the guru? Guru is making your life easier so that you don't struggle. When you take Shani as the guru, Saturn, then you struggle and learn from experience. But Jupiter as the guru, he teaches us with a blessing so that we don't have to struggle. So at this stage, with the debilitation of Jupiter and retrogression, do be careful that you are not listening to what the experts are saying. So the gurus, they can be the divine spiritual guru, but they are great advisors in the fields, in all the different fields that you're listening to. So I would say that you have to think about this aspect. So around 14th, that little aspect, and then around 12th of September. So you take 3-4 days before, 3-4 days after, as the planet turns retrograde. And in September, it's mostly before, because as planet goes direct, you're released of all this kind of introspection. The other thing is this: you are introspecting as Jupiter goes backwards and introspecting, afraid to go into the future because the planet has not moved forward. Or you could take it another way, that the things are not totally ready for you to move forward. So you need more information, more ideas, more development. And it's not on just one area, on all areas of life. So you are taking time, gathering information, processing stuff, and then moving forward. One of the things about this Jupiter retrograde is that it's not going to meet with any negative conjunctions. There's no Ketu, Rahu, Saturn, Mars. They're all not in Capricorn. So Jupiter is retrograding largely alone. Therefore, it will have whatever influence it has to have. It isn't the outside influences that are bothering it during this retrograde. And this is much more positive because when outside influences are there, then it aggravates the retrograde as well. So how does it affect you? And just watch out for your ascendant or your moon sign. So Aries, it is in the 10th and 9th house transit. Both are positive houses for you: career, guru, and watch out for, not taking advice, especially during this retrograde planet, because Jupiter rules your 9th house. Also expenses, 12th house, it can take them out of control. So be very conscious of that. Taurus, Jupiter is retrograde in your ninth house and will go into the eighth house. So, ninth house is taking advice, and you are not always good at that. Eighth house is transformation. There can also be some unexpected money or finances coming your way. Gemini, Jupiter rules your seventh house and 10th house, relationships and career. Being in Capricorn, that is your eighth house, not the easiest transit, but goes into Sagittarius, is easier for relationships and career when Jupiter after 26th of June goes into Sagittarius. And you need to watch also the transits of Mercury, what Mercury is doing. Cancer, um, Jupiter is transiting in your seventh house of relationships, goes into the sixth house. So, sixth house is not the easiest placement for a transit, and Jupiter especially means you feel lack of blessing, lack of opportunities. And so take it easy, and there can be opposition, and you yourself may not always listen to what people are saying, advising you. So try to listen to what is being said and not listen to the wrong people. Leo, Jupiter in Capricorn is not good for you because it's in the house of obstacles, and you are not listening to what is being said to you. But when it goes into Sagittarius, that is a much easier energy for you. It's more creative ideas. It will aspect your ascendant moon sign. So you feel a lot better, but there's still a month and a half till 26th of June to be concerned about this. So take things slowly, be careful. And then Virgo, Jupiter rules the fourth house home, seventh house relationships, but he's also quite well placed, Capricorn and Sagittarius. So Virgo will deal with it in a different way, although both those areas are subject to some kind of change. And you may feel a little bit unsettled where you live. Your partners may be being awkward, but Jupiter is quite strong during this retrograde. So you can still get the blessing, and also to watch what Mercury is doing during this time. Libra, Jupiter's not the best planet for you, but it rules the third house of self-effort, initiative, and this retrograde will make you confused about what do you want to do, how do you want to express yourself, what do you want to do to connect with other people. Watch the May portion of it and then watch the September time, because those are the two important times. Scorpio, Jupiter is a good planet for you. It rules your second house of finances, and it rules your fifth house of creativity and ideas. But let's talk finances. Jupiter is at present debilitated, so you should not be making any financial decisions. As it retrogrades back into Sagittarius in 26th of June and then goes forward, then you think about finances. At present, you can be feeling very hard done by, and I can understand how the circumstances are, but just be very careful and don't make any impulsive decisions, and don't reverse whatever trend you were following. Sagittarius, you feel most about this transit because it is your ascendant ruler. It is going to turn retrograde. So your whole life will grind to a halt and move backwards. It's also moon, Sagittarius moon sign as well. So especially this time, you can feel very restricted, as if it's much harder to do things. And then, when Jupiter comes back to Sagittarius, you'll feel a bit better. And of course, when it goes direct in Sagittarius, a lot better. But right now, specifically, watch out. And then around 12th of September, before that when Jupiter is about to go direct, you feel like a pressure cooker situation. So watch that. Capricorn, Jupiter is in lot of planets in your ascendant, Jupiter, Saturn, both turning retrograde. And so Jupiter is not necessarily the best planet for you. You don't like to take advice unless you have experienced it yourself. So Jupiter is going to retrograde. It's still in the sign. It's bringing some blessing, but you have to be careful about it. But as I said, it's more the Saturn retrograde that is affecting you. But as Jupiter goes into the 12th house after 26th of June, then you have to be careful about your expenses. Are you just being careless or not practical with expenses? For you, always practical is better. So don't feel emotional or stuck about expenses. They can become too big if you're not careful. Aquarius, Jupiter rules the 2 houses of money for you. So this is a time to be very conscious financially. Jupiter is in Capricorn, which is the 12th house of expenses. So your expenses may be much bigger than your earnings. But then when Jupiter goes into Sagittarius on 26th of June, even though it's retrograde, your earning level will be much easier and things will be easier for you. Again, for Aquarius also, you have to watch the Saturn retrograde. It's important to know which planet is more prominent for you. You know, all the things are not equal impacting. Then Pisces. Pisces is very much the ascendant ruler, moon ruler. I can feel that retrograde. You know, it's been trying to record this, and I'm Pisces ascendant, and everything's getting delayed. And it's not that I'm not have the time, but there's something was blocking. And then suddenly today I felt I must do it, and I forced myself to record. So if you're Pisces, you may be feeling this yourself. And it is in the 11th and 10th house, good houses for you, money and career. Both the transits are okay. And again, as I said, if you feel stressed out and things are not working, wait for a few days. As the Jupiter goes retrograde, you'll feel better. Then, of course, again in September to watch out for it. So that is it. Thank you very much. All the best. Please do remember to subscribe. Hello, everybody. I'm Komilla Sutton, and I'd like to invite you to the Sedona Vedic Astrology Conference on 19th to 23rd November 2020. This is organized by the great Vedic astrologer Dennis Harness, who I'm happy to call my friend. And he is a great organizer. Dennis has been organizing Sedona Vedic Astrology conferences for many years, and every year we have a wonderful gathering of great thinkers and Vedic astrologers, plus Ayurveda, yoga, spiritual teachers. So this is a mixture of great intensity, and Sedona is one of those most beautiful places. If you have not visited it, it is the greatest place to visit, and also to come for a Vedic astrology conference. For us Vedic astrologers, it is a sublime energy. So do plan to come. Again, reminder, 19th to 23rd of November 2020. And I am going to be doing the keynote address on Vedic wisdom in the turbulent times, how to give correct advice, how to use the Vedic wisdom. And then my workshop is going to be on the Vargas and a lecture on Surya. So I hope you will join us at the Sedona Vedic Astrology Conference, 19th to 23rd of November 2020. All information will be at sedonavedicastrology.com. You can just search it either. So thank you. All the best.